nothing without him. This is the whole speech. I'd just like to thank him. I was very impressed by the person he mentioned. I'm looking forward to meeting that person too. But unfortunately, for the moment, you're stuck with me. My sympathy. There was a nun returning from Lourdes, going through the airport customs, and the guy was relentless. And he went through everything and picked out a bottle, a clear bottle with a clear liquid. And he said, "Sister, what's this?" And she said, "Oh, it's a large water. I've just been to Lourdes." And he opened the cap and smelled it. He said, "Sister, this is not Lourdes water. This is gin." And she said, "Oh, thanks be to God, another miracle." I'm honored to join you. I'm very helpful. By your kindness, much more deserved by all the alumni, past, all the athletes. I want to congratulate you on all you've done and all you've learned on the way to this day. I go up to be in the third graduating class to Sales. We lived up on the hill in what was then the seminary, 60 of us there, and therefore with that number, there wasn't much left for recreation money. We had two plans. The plans were either Plan A, $6 a month for the movies, or 25 cents a day for coffee down the hill with the lay students. I thought you, the latter plan, were a lot more fun than the movies. So I took Plan B. Thus, I don't know the difference between Tom Cruise and Ted Cruz. Nope. But after 3 years of drinking coffee with people, I was startled to find myself elected student body president. It was a great introduction to exactly what a chaplain does, anywhere. Spending time with people in the midst of all their concerns, all of them. What a joy, what a grace. I was very lucky that God made me an oblate of St. Francis de Sales. And I still get money for coffee. My mother had a favorite phrase. It was just spontaneous. And it's been a great compass for me. It was in the midst of all the difficult life that she had. She had to drop a baby. The line was, "Thank you, God, for everything." Spontaneous and simple, but powerful in talking to God at once. Looking out at the autumn sunset, rejoicing in God's grandeur, seeing life and self and God all together. Think of St. Francis of Assisi surveying the world. Thank you, God, for everything. Think of alumni like me returning grateful for all the help and the good in the years spent here. Thank you, God, for everything. And then this very day, as we see you, your parents and friends, thank you, God, for everything. As you move from college into life, they say that we move from theory to experience. You know the old saying, the young man knows the rule, the older woman knows the exceptions to the rules. The getting of experience. Well, we get wisdom from experience, but we get experience from our mistakes. That's a bit of an ouch, isn't it? What do they say at roughly every other Harvard Medical School graduation? They say, speaking frankly, half of what we've taught you here is probably false. The only problem is, we don't know which half that is. The getting of experience. Excuse me. One of the small things about the getting of experience, I suspect, is its cost. Perhaps that's why Winston Churchill was the hero of the Oscars in 2018. Impossible burdens, traitorous colleagues, weapons lost in France, and none at home. The capital of the world's largest port of flame every night. constant bombing, and nerves destroyed. And yet, amid the destruction unleashed by democracy's greatest enemy, opposite and equal, though at first alone, an iron will, questioning lies and questioning propaganda and questioning injustice immense. And the line that he had, which I suspect can buoy us still, it is courage that makes all the other virtues possible. The getting of experience is no easy thing. It's great to get wisdom. You get it from experience. It's annoying for you and me to find out that we often get it best from our mistakes. But it's courage that makes all the other virtues possible. When I was in New Haven, I don't mention that to anyone, I'm now at Harvard, I've tried to cover that up, that's not to be done. My advisor in molecular biophysics at Yale, Franklin Hutchinson, used to pretend to shout, mock shout, a line at me, which was passed on to him through his advisor from Sir James Chaplain, who discovered the neutron. There was a line passed on to him by his advisor, and that was none other than Lord Rutherford, who had only dissected alpha, beta, gamma radiation, explained radioactivity, got the Nobel Prize before he discovered the nucleus, and then split it twice, and had a dozen grad students who got the credit for discoveries that were in many ways his own. He had this line which his shouted through Chadwick, through Hutch, to me. It was almost an honor to be shouted at because it was like apostolic succession in science. And the line was, any damn fool can interpret good data. What I want is lousy data. Now, if you could afford it, you wouldn't want lousy data, but science is always on a shoestring. And so, for instance, at Yale with Hutch, when I was trying to do too many experiments to get a perfect line because I had so many dots, he would mock shout what had been shouted down the line in history, person to person to person. Any damn fool can interpret good data. What I want is lousy data, save money, do fewer samples, use statistics. Use statistics. Well, my point today would be to take that from science into the whole of life. And for us to notice this, that life itself is lousy data. The race is not always to the swift. Good people suffer. Sadly, good people suffer. The devious get ahead. Life is lousy data, sometimes well-nigh beavis and butt-edged in its noise and scatter. But experience teaches us one other thing, which heartens us in so many ways. Unless you love someone, nothing makes sense. But all of reality is backlit with insight by that. Thus we gather every Sunday. We gather together every Sunday to be loved by God and to love each other and to make sense of our experience together and not alone. We all value experience. For all the debates about truth and values, people value experience, I will suggest why not take as your mentor the greatest experiencer of all time, St. Augustine. He was bright and energetic and aware. Carthage not big enough for him, so he was determined to go to Rome. His mother, St. Monica, followed him to the top of Africa, its northern shore, and he left her in a chapel dedicated to St. Cyprian, and he promised her that he would not leave. But the very next line in his Confessions, unfortunately, is this: the wind blew and filled our sails, the shore disappeared from sight. And where was she in the morning, my God, but on that shore, shouting in your ear that you had not heard her prayers, but in time you would answer her prayers better than she could have ever asked or imagined, to make me a faithful Christian at long last. 10 years after his famous conversion, Augustine looked back and saw God running after him faster than Augustine was running away. And then in the Confessions, he saw, looking back on his life, the love and the providence of God. And I hope as the years go on, and all life's ups and downs, you see that in your own. I too went to Rome. I was sent there by Father Gambit for theology and ordination. Just as I was to return, my mother died. I never had a chance to chat with her then. My first Mass in my own parish was her funeral. I've always felt so bad about that. And yet the 40th anniversary of her death is just next Saturday. Saturday a week. Her 40th anniversary, the octave of this lovely celebration. They say God blinks at us. I wonder if our parents don't too. If your father or mother are gone to God already, know that they are with you here, and with us here and now. Thankfulness is at the heart of life. One can have all the gifts, but the most necessary one to be asked for, last of all, and first, is a grateful heart. And so, as Father Greenfield did, we thank your parents for all the good they've done you and us and everyone else. May God keep them long with us. May they receive the reward of their labor. A grad student in Cambridge, Massachusetts, was at a supermarket, and he had 25 items on the bell. And the cashier asked, "Excuse me, do you go to Harvard or MIT?" And he said, "Well, what business is that of yours?" She pointed up at the sign and said, "Limit 8 items." I was just trying to figure out whether you couldn't add or you couldn't read. We live in an age of specialization. We live in an age of specialization. The great women doctor of the church, St. Catherine of Siena, reported what our Lord said to her in that marvelous book, The Dialogues. He said, "I never give all the virtues to any one person, but charity to one, justice to another, humility to this one, a living faith to that one, so that you will all need each other, so that you will all need each other, so that each of you can be my ministers in caring for each other." As we heard in the opening prayer, Father Greenfield too always reminds us to be ourselves, celebrating that great expert on life, St. Francis de Sales. Be who you are, and be that well, to give honor to the master craftsman whose handiwork you are. If you ever saw The Sound of Music, just before the line of the song, "Climb Every Mountain," the Mother Abbess has Maria visiting her, as Maria tries to discern a life in the world and a life in the convent. Do you know what she says to her? You must live the life you were born to live. You must live the life you were born to live. That is our prayer for you today. There was a nun with her primary school class trying to teach them the dangers of drink, warn them against the dangers of drink. And she had somehow availed herself of 2 worms, and she had 2 tumblers, 2 glasses. She had one filled with water, the other full with neat gin. She popped a worm in each one. The one in the water swam around and throve. The one in the gin shriveled up and fell like the proverbial doornail. Triumphant, she looked up to the class and asked, "What does this clearly demonstrate?" The guy in the back, "If you stick to gin, you'll never get worms." Now, to be quite frank, I think the nun was right. But the kid gives us a reminder that it's almost time for lunch. And so we better get wrapping this up. I'd like to close with one of my favorite examples, which, if you think of it, I believe will be emblematic of the rest of your life. It will get you ready for the final exam, capital F, capital E. And then I'd like to give you very briefly a blessing, if I may. I was thinking of the royal wedding today, which sadly you have eclipsed. networks are covering this, they've abandoned the royal wedding. It's so hurtful and so wrong. To the poor people over there. But I thought a competing wedding would be that of the hero of the 2018 Oscars, Winston Churchill and Lady Churchill. And from their wedding around 1980, just right by the Great Hall of Westminster, when we think of Thomas More, the minister, the teacher who'd been loyal to him in life, and he wasn't easy to be loyal to, truth to tell, especially in his youngest years, came from a distance to do the wedding and crafted a marvelous blessing. And I want to take the shortest line of it and mention it right at the end. And I'm going to ask the good God to bless you with that blessing. But I won't do it alone. I'll do it with your parents, and your family and friends, and our president and faculty, and board of trustees as well. Would you be willing to join me at the end? So I'll go like this so we know we're really asking God. Would you join in? I'll do it phrase by phrase. But first, the story. The greatest physician in the English-speaking world around 1900 was William Osler, Dr. William Osler. He wasn't Penn, but then he was the founding head of medicine, this marvelous new hospital and medical school, Johns Hopkins. And after he'd been there a while, and he was about to be appointed Research Professor at Oxford, he was rushing to a meeting, and a young professor, a young doctor who he taught was going the other way. And so the young doctor said, Dr. Osler, what are you rushing to? And he said, I'm going to the county medical meeting. It was the continuing ed of that time. I'm going to the county medical meeting. Come to think of it, why aren't you? The young doctor looked down and then said, honestly, I find I don't get much out of them. And Osler looked him right in the eye. And he said, do you think I go because of what I can get? I go because of what I can give. I go because of what I can give. I was sitting there, and there was a woman standing here. She just addressed us at the beginning. And on her cap, showing the individuality of every single person here, it said oncology nurse. Now the blessing. If I could ask you to follow me phrase by phrase, it's very brief. Is that okay? I'll point up to remind us we're really asking God to do this, but we're his intermediaries for all of you. Are you ready? With full heart and full voice, parents, faculty, president, friends. May your lives be a blessing, each to the other.